Yeah. Um, yeah, very powerful. And heard of this story, and also have seen the photos from it. It's very powerful and haunting at the same time. To that point that this wasn't that long ago. It's in our own city. And because we're a northern city and not in the South, some people would think that some of the, stories that you may hear of Jim Crow and all those different things didn't happen in our community. But there were other policies, other things that were in the way that made us segregated, continue to make us segregated, continue to not offer the opportunities for all at a systematic level. And when I see this and I think about all the work that not only we're doing in the school system, but that we're doing in the city, I would ask not only myself, but all the citizens here in Cleveland and my colleagues who are in this work, are there systemic policies? Are there things that we're doing to get in the way of true liberation? What is stopping us from reaching the excellence and the potential we want to see in all of our citizens and all of our kids? What is truly stopping us? And truly ask ourselves, what are the policies that we've put in place that are created to continue to keep us divided and segregated? The first thing that's really interesting about that is I've met people here in Cleveland who've told me about this, that they actually experience it. They experience when they have either an AM or a PM schedule. So a lot of times when we talk about these efforts, sometimes it feels like it was so long ago, and it's not. And the people I talk to, they aren't that old, and so just knowing that this is history and it's living history and it's still having an impact now. That's my first reaction to it. My second reaction to it is everything we're dealing with now as a system, the things that the system has done to the city, has done to its citizens, we're still really living through some of those decisions today. And even though schools are integrated, there is quote unquote school choice. There are schools that offer more programs. There are some schools that are higher performing. There definitely are disparities currently in student performance, not only just based on racial demographics, but also socioeconomic status and where students live. And we're in a time now where people are questioning, what does it mean to have preference for one student over the next? And so this isn't about having preference for one student over the next. It's just, what does it mean for us to educate all of Cleveland's kids and make sure that there's excellence for all of Cleveland kids? So just hearing that these were things that were put in place to help solve a problem, but we're still really dealing with some of those challenges now, really just heightens that sense of urgency for the work that we're collectively trying to do now. So pockets of excellence, we talk about the Cleveland Plan, which we're really grateful for the Cleveland Plan. It's been around now for about 15 years. And because of the Cleveland Plan, we have options. It calls for choice. It calls for many different programs and options that take place within our school district. And we do have those choices and we do have programs throughout our system. We're proud that, last year we achieved a certain academic status that hadn't been done before. And there's certain schools within our system that are performing really high. But those are pockets of excellence. And there are some families that don't have the opportunity to have access to those schools. Just by the default of your neighborhood of where you live in, you may not have access to certain programs. Right now, we're really struggling with enrollment in a lot of our buildings. And when you don't have the enrollment in your school, you can't have the staffing available to offer more programs and more courses. So there are pockets of excellence. And even some of the policies that we have, sometimes it's called autonomy, but I don't think anyone would choose autonomy for lower performance. Autonomy means, I have choice to make my program better, and there are different things I may do to offer for students, but not autonomy in a way that, well, autonomy for one means excellent and autonomy for another doesn't. That's not what autonomy means. And so we do have this pocket of excellence across our system. And we're at a moment of time now with our Building Brighter Futures plan where we can define excellence at scale. I often operate from a sense that leadership is making the best decisions in the time that they're doing it in for the community that they're making it for based on the context that they have. I often say that the decisions we're making now are based on our current context to make sure we're providing excellence for all kids. 20, 30 years from now, someone may say, what were they doing? What were they thinking about? And so that's why it is really important for us to think about history. But we can't live in history, or we can't relitigate history. We need to actually learn from it, see what was taking place, and move forward. It is really important to understand the history. I often say that education is a pendulum swing. What was once thought of as novel becomes old, and people are thinking about new strategies, and those new strategies are what was brought in the past. And so it is really important sometimes to look at history, learn from it, and see what can be improved upon. I would also say that Cleveland is not unique in the fact that the issues that we're facing, one, when you just think about segregation and low performance for children of color and children living in poverty, Cleveland is not alone in that. Just pick any major city across our country, pick rural cities. These are issues that are being faced across our country. And learning from my colleagues that are currently in the work that are dealing with some of the same issues of finance, enrollment, older buildings, we can become a support network for one another. And you don't always have to reinvent the wheel, and test and see what strategies are out there. And so a lot of the strategies that we're doing are best practices that other systems are doing. Of course, we'll use it within our context to support our scholars, but it's nothing that is new that other systems aren't looking into. Yeah, this is something I'm really passionate about, because I agree, parent engagement and parent communication, parent voice is what is going to take the system to the next level. And we do have a very active parent voice, but sometimes I wonder if all voices are represented. Actually, I don't wonder. I know that not all voices are represented. And it's important for the voices that are being heard to be heard, but it's also really important for the voices that are not being heard to be heard as well. And sometimes assumptions could be made that when forms or strategies in which become traditional that the district puts out, only certain people come out, there are assumptions made that, oh, the parents that aren't here, they don't care, or they don't care about this decision. And that's not true. All of us come from different backgrounds. All of us come from different walks of life. And I guarantee that all of our parents love and care for their scholar that is within the system. And it's really important for us to make sure we're going out to the community, informing the community of what's going on, asking the right questions, making sure that parents are fully involved and aware of what's happening in the system now, and also the consequences of past decisions, whether what has been done or hadn't been done, how that impacts the today. And we have to do a better job of really making sure we reach all families. And so that's one thing I'm really passionate about, and really making sure we diversify our approach so that we can hear as many voices as possible. There probably aren't words or things I can say to actually apologize or recover for what Miss Rochelle had to go through. That is awful. And the sins of our past catch up with us. So that goes to my second point. We have to get it right now. And so for the Miss Rochelle's, for all the kids that are under our control now, we have to get it right. And this is a moment where it takes all of us, taking the voice of the Miss Rochelle's, but all of us that are in the system now, all of us that are in the city now, to get it right for the kids that we're leading now, because they need and deserve it. And it's, as we talk, a generation is being educated, leading, and growing up, and they'll be our next leaders and citizens. And so it's a sense of urgency to get it right. Our biggest thing, and we have our Building Brighter Futures work that we're doing, is to really make sure we define what excellence looks like for all. There's a lot of work we have to do to really make sure we live into excellence, but we have an obligation now where we can say, not even an obligation, we have a responsibility now where we can say, this is what all kids in Cleveland need and deserve. And the things that we're talking about at this point, they are not above and beyond. These are things, if you just go to districts outside, the suburban districts, some private schools are offering things such as the ability to earn high school credit in K-8s, such as Algebra 1, a foreign language, the ability to learn how to play an instrument early enough in your elementary grade so that you're competitive by the time you get into high schools. The ability to really make sure all of our high schools offer college and career readiness. Right now, 78% of our high schools offer some kind of college course, and then 59% offer a career pathway, but we should be able to say 100%. It's not enough to say, oh, 78%, but if you aren't one of those in the 78%, hopefully it works out for you. No, we have a responsibility that's 100%. In our K-8s, only 38% offer anything beyond the basic PE, art, and music. I mean, this is stuff we can do. We can do something about this. And we are often faced with the decisions where people are holding on to something that is special and unique for their school, which that's important. We all love our own school community. But if you ask yourself, what are other kids in the city getting? Do they have that opportunity? No. And we have a responsibility now where we can say, this is what all kids in Cleveland need and deserve. And that's what I'm looking forward to when we think about building brighter futures and creating excellence at scale.